Welcome. I'm Beth Melton Seabrook. I'm a full-time working artist. I teach and create in this fabulous backyard studio just outside of Charleston, South Carolina. In this series, Tiny Tutorials, we're going to get an inside peek into all the tips and tricks and little fun things that I throw in when I'm working on my mixed media artwork. So, let's jump right in. Hi, welcome back to my studio. I'm Beth with Elizabeth & Company, and welcome back to Tiny Tutorials. So a couple of weeks ago we did some homemade DIY stamps using foam, foam sheets and foam core, and I love using stamps in my mixed media pieces, and so today I thought I would take you through another style of stamp that I like to make. So when I'm using stamps, usually when you think about stamps, you think about the kind you get from the craft store, rubber stamps or foam stamps. These are just some traditional style stamps. I also like to use some very untraditional style stamps in my mixed media work. This is the bottom of a flip-flop. It's got two textures, one on either side. I like to use that to add some interest to my mixed media. I like to use bubble wrap as a stamping tool. I like to use a gripper rubber gripper from Dollar Store or the Walmart or wherever to do a neat pattern in a stamp style. Then also the back of the Starbucks wrapper just looks like some corrugated cardboard on the back. I like to use that. So those are some non-traditional style stamps that I like to do. About last week or a couple weeks ago was the foam stamps that I like to make out of adhesive foam, craft foam. So those are a couple of examples of stamps that I like to use in my mixed media work. But today we're going to make a different kind of stamp. Here's an example of one that I've already done. The supplies that you'll need are pretty simple. To start out with, a glue gun, and I like a big, like a wide-tipped glue gun. You could use really any style glue gun. Some cardboard, and I just had some old mailing boxes, so I cut those into a few different shapes, and then something to use on the back as a little handle that makes it easier. I have a few wine corks, so I like to use those. So today we're gonna start out with these supplies, and you'll also need some parchment paper, non-stick parchment paper. Can't be the wax paper or any other kind of baking paper. It needs to be parchment paper, and I'll show you why in just a minute. So we start out with our glue gun and a piece of cardboard, any kind of cardboard, mailing boxes of any kind or whatever you have on hand. And you take your glue gun and you're going to do a design on the face of this cardboard. Now I'm going to do just some circles that are pretty simple, and you want to work kind of quickly. Get that glue down there really thick, and then I'm actually going to do a couple of other little dots here and there. Now what you're going to do next is take your parchment paper and lay this piece of cardboard that you just did the glue on face down and press on it. You want all of the surface of the hot glue to come into contact with that parchment paper. What that's doing is flattening out the design. So instead of like raised and bumpy, it'll press it flat. I don't know if you can tell that that's a really flat design on there. So you let it stay on there for just a few minutes, and while we're waiting, I'm going to do another couple of them. to be drying out before you get it onto your parchment paper, because then it will not, it will already be dry and won't be able to flatten out. So I'm rubbing that down and making sure that it's got good contact with the parchment paper. Now, the way you'll know if it's ready to be pulled up is if you start pulling up and it comes off easily, then it's ready to come up. If it's tugging and not coming up very easily, then it needs to sit there for a minute longer. So we've got this one done, and I'm going to show you how I like to use it. First, I'm going to put a back on it, so I just flip it over, put a spot of hot glue, press down, and then give that a minute to dry. So I've got a couple that I've already got ready to go, so I'm going to show you a thicker one and see if that will work. This is a black Stays On brand, which is I just get at the craft store as well, and we're going to rub that all over there. You can definitely tell that this is going on well. Let's try that one, press it on, and it does a little bit better. And I'm just going to clean that off. The other way I like to use my stamps, and I feel like I get a better outcome, is just using regular craft paint. So I have a palette here that I was using earlier, and I'm using Golden brand fluid acrylics. Any kind of craft paint will work. And I'm going to just brush it on and work rather quickly, because once the paint dries on there, it's not going to give a very good image transfer. So working really quickly and then pressing down. So there we go. Got a pretty good image transfer there. I'm going to do another one on the new one that I just did. So that one is this guy. This is the one we just did. I'm going to do it in this bright pink color. Again, just a craft acrylic paint by Golden. And pressing down to get a transfer of your image. And there you go. So that was the one I just did. Can't really see it because I got a lot of paint on there. But some of the bigger ones that I've done are this. And with one this big, you do have to be very careful that you're making sure all of the surface of that hot glue stamp comes into contact with your paper to get a good transfer. And here's that second one that I did, and I'm going to go ahead and pull that up. And you can see the glue is flattened, and the way you'll know that is just run your hand across it, make sure there's no raised edges, put it back on it, and then start stamping. So I hope you've enjoyed this edition of Tiny Tutorials, and I hope that you'll be able to make some stamps and put them to good use in your mixed media. These make great backgrounds for starting a painting on or adding on top of layers of a painting that you're working on. So thanks for joining us at Elizabeth & Co Studio. If you enjoyed this video, make sure that you subscribe to my channel to get all the upcoming videos, and make sure that you like this video so that you can see more. If you'd like to find us on social media, that would be Instagram at eandcoart and Facebook Elizabeth & Co Art. Thanks. See you next time.